All right, and we're live. Slowly, I am learning the pattern to my AC, so I know when I can actually do these without it being loud. Um, Not much has been going on. I've been just reading a bunch. Still reading Inkspell. I am on chapter 15 or page 147. Very pretty book. Would recommend. Not as much as Inkheart, but it's still good. It kind of bothers me though, and this happens with a lot of other books, where you have multiple characters and multiple perspectives the author is trying to include. That in itself doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when it's every other chapter, it's shifting perspective. So like chapter 1 could be chapter 1 could be following, for example, in Inkspell, Maggie. And then in chapter 2, it would be following Dustfinger. Chapter 3, it'll go back to Maggie. And then chapter 4, back to Dustfinger. And then chapter 5, probably to like Maggie's father or whatever. And it's consistently going back and forth. I'm at the point now where it's more consistently with one character for a couple of chapters and not just every other chapter changing. But it's still kind of irritating. And it also feels like, especially in Inkspell, the chapters shifting back and forth is more for bloating the page or word count than it is for actually including substance to the story. So, spoiler for the beginning part, Mo had to go away for a bit, and he's angry with Maggie because she's been so enraptured with the world of the Book of Inkheart, which she labeled Ink World. And because of her fascination with it, Mo gets upset. They had an argument. He goes away for a bit to do his book bindings. And when he comes back, a whole bunch of other stuff happens. She reads herself into the book. And it's basically up to the point I've gotten. But it's like, okay, we know Mo and her father are upset with each other. Perspective changes, and then it changes back to them. We get retold, like, for the 6th time, that Mo and Maggie has this tense relationship. Like, obviously it's a huge aspect, but we don't need to know that she's feeling guilty. Again, that she's feeling angry with Mo. Again. Or, like, when she's attempting to read herself into the book. Like, we already know she's upset. We got it. Farid is trying to ask her something, which she can feasibly do, but she wants to go with, and that's what she's having a guilty conscience of. 2 full chapters of her sorry, I'm getting messages. 2 full chapters of her just being like, I want to read myself into this book, but I know my parents will be angry with me. Okay, we get that. I didn't need 2 full chapters of that. So it just feels like a bit of bloating, which is irritating. And the same thing with the Dustfinger's perspective. Like, he gets read back into Inkheart, and we get all of this information of what Inkheart is like. He gets read into the forest, what the forest is like, and it's like an information overload. In the first chapter, he gets read back. The next chapter he's involved in, it's like another dump of information. It's about the state of the world, what's happened in the 10 years he's been gone. And the next chapter after that is also not as much of an information overload, but it's still heavy to read through. Because, like, yeah, he's been gone for 10 years. Yeah, here's this girl he's fucked, like, 10 years back, had 2 children with. One of them's dead, and it's like, okay. couldn't that have been condensed a little bit more? Other books have done it, but other books have done it more gracefully, where if there are changes in perspective, they keep the change for at least a substantial amount of time, and they don't bloat the words as much. Like, I want to like this book, and I do like it. I do enjoy it. It's jarring when you're, for example, reading about Maggie and Mo and the rest of, like, that situation, and then you're invested in that story, and then you get shifted into another timeline or another perspective, and it's like, okay, so I have to put them on pause to try and give a fuck about this other character, to suddenly be invested in this character, and then having to go back and try and reinvest yourself into this plot line that we've already established. I mean, I can understand having timelines coexist, so having two plots happening at the same time and trying not to outpace the one or the other. That's completely understandable, but it would be more preferable to write a character, to write a situation up to a certain point, and then write from another character's point of view up to that same point if they converge, or if something like super major happens. But not when nothing is happening. And I think that's what's bothering me the most, is nothing is happening and perspectives are changing. It's like, okay, Maggie and Mo have been arguing for 5 days, for example. And then we go to Dustfinger and we get his 5 days. But nothing has happened in either world. I think that's what's irritating me the most. So, oh well. I basically know what Inkspell is going to be now. Like, what the end goal is supposed to be. I'm 100 pages in, 150 pages in. It's a 550 page book. So, having to read a fifth of the way to get the concept of what the plotline is going to be was also kind of irritating. But I don't exactly blame it. Inkheart was also kind of drawn out, but you got the plotline a lot earlier. I don't know. I love fantasy books. Cornelia Funke isn't really the worst writer I've ever read, but I've definitely seen and have read better. I don't know if they made movies. I think I mentioned this last time, but I'm not really a movie person. Brendan Fraser did fantastic in Inkheart. I hope he comes back for Inkspell and Ink Death if they did make them, but I'm probably not going to watch those for at least a month, because I can't afford to pay for streaming services. Right now, at least. In other news, I've been talking about earlier, and my AC is kicking on, so I didn't time this as correctly as I could have. I can turn that off real quick. Okay. While reading, and I mentioned earlier that it's been kind of boring just sitting around reading all day, so I've been playing around with the idea of maybe doing Reddit readings again for YouTube. I used to do them like 4 years ago on a different channel, but I'm kind of getting like that I need something else to do. So I've been toying with that idea. I've also been trying to get back a little bit into playing games. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV a little bit on and off with my significant other, but since he works all day, and he would rather not waste. I shouldn't say waste. He would rather just spend time with me than play games. It's been kind of iffy. Like, he gets tired when he gets home, so he doesn't want to put the mental energy into trying to pay attention to the story, and that's completely understandable. I have gotten all the way up to patch 5.2, and that's where I stopped. And then I came back, but one day I'll continue it. Like, seriously, right now I just am changing my Chocobo's color. And for some reason it messed up, but not too drastically. I was trying to change it from this light bluish green to royal purple, and it ended up being a brown. So not too far off the color spectrum, but still kind of annoying because I have to wait another 6 hours, and I think it's ready. Hopefully. But yeah, I also did promise I would buy the fruit to change my Esso's Chocobo color. I have to do that too. Next time he logs in, I'll have him do it. I'll buy him the stuff that'll make him go through the 10 minutes of constantly feeding. I don't think it's too bad to change from yellow to purple. Not as bad as I think bluish green to purple is. Because that's like 50 fruits you have to feed all at once. And if you max out any of the color spectrums, then you kind of wasted your money. But oh well. Yeah, I kind of want to do Reddit again, but that's also editing. I don't hate editing, but I'm also the kind of person where I get more enjoyment from performing than I do from editing. If I edit for someone else, it's not as bad. But when I edit for myself, that's when I get, I don't want to say annoyed, but I don't like hearing myself or looking at myself. So that's probably why I don't like editing my own content, which is why I do vlogs for now, to try and make some sort of establishment. But oh well. Right now I'm kind of in that weird sort of, I have stuff I can do, but none of it's productive, and that's what's bothering me. Yeah, I have books to read, and I do enjoy reading, and I do feel accomplished when I finish a book. But reading takes time, and doing the reading, especially with a book as big as Inkspell and Inkheart, and Ink Death's even bigger, is, it's hard to feel accomplished when you're trying to read through a slog that's not always the most entertaining all of the time, but it's also not having any sort of immediate gratification either. Not that I need constant satisfaction for doing things. It's just when it takes 3 or 4 days or more to finally feel like I did something productive, it kind of starts weighing on you as if you feel like you're not doing enough, especially in the situation where I'm in the process of trying to move and my SO is in the process of trying to get us the apartment because I'm on this side and he's on the other side of the state. So I can't exactly go over there and do it for him. It feels like I'm not doing anything to help and contribute. So trying to keep all the bad mental stuff away as best as I can. But yeah, at least it's not super boiling hot like it used to be. It's cooled off a little bit. It's still pretty bad, but it's not awkward summer heat. It's just normal summer suffering. Anyways, I did not manage to make any of my deadlines. And I'm probably not going to make the deadline I had planned for today. So I should get back to reading. But tomorrow I will have another vlog, hopefully, and not be as rambly. So I will see you then. Bye!